Hey, Rahubat Muisar, greetings family. Ranani Kawun Saken Sakamreye. My name is Saken Sakamreye. So this is OSM Vision, Ask Us Anything. Send in 3 questions for us to answer for you. And all you have to do is record yourself on your phone, your cell phone, and once you're happy with your questions, then just upload them to osmvision.wetransfer.com and we'll get those answered for you. All right, let's get straight into the questions that we've received for today.
Hey, what's going on? I really appreciate this channel. I go by the name Aquastone Throne. I make music. You could stream my music on all streaming services. My first question is, could you tell me the truth of the 3 different negative bloodlines, negative A, negative B, negative O, and the differences?
Okay, so the first question is regarding the different types of blood types, specifically the negative blood types. So today, there's so much mixture. So everybody today has a mixture of the different blood types. However, originally on this planet, the original beings only had positive blood types, right? The negative blood types came afterwards, especially when you have the Rh factor, right? And that is traced to extraterrestrial. And when we say extraterrestrial, it doesn't mean necessarily good or bad. We're just saying that it's a blood type that is predominantly associated when you tie it to a lot of the prominent people on the planet who are in control or who are in rulership in the Adamites world, which of course we know has ended as of the year 2000 AD. But those people have the Rh negative blood types, and they try to maintain power and control by keeping things within the family. So for example, if you did any research on, say, the presidents of America, most of them are tied in fact, pretty much all of them are tied in by bloodline. It may be distant, distant relative, but there is on the internet, you can Google it, the fact that they maintain the same bloodlines. Blood is very important, even when you read like the Bible, for example, the book of Numbers, where it gives you literally like families, names of families and counting families and, how they're tied in, because blood is where the life is in. And, when it comes to, for example, when you deal with, say, the War of the Roses, which is dealing with like the Yorks and the Lancasters in England, going back to when they were not able to clot, right? So their blood was not able to clot, and the whole like slavery, when you're dealing with Africans that were kidnapped, it's to do with blood. Even if you go down to the stories of Abraham Lincoln, for example, it ties into the fact that these hemophiliacs needed blood to be able to survive, because if they got cut and the blood wasn't able to clot, then they would bleed out and die. So when you read a lot of the vampire stories and you tie it into like Dracula and what that's all about, it deals with a being that has to feed off of sucking the blood of other victims. And this being cannot come out in the sunlight because the sun will burn him, which all ties into the fact of the lack of melanin and the fact that you need certain blood types to survive. And what I'm going to do, just to kind of solidify the answer for your question, is read you, I'm going to read you something from the scroll that Parnabab Yanun, Dr. Malachi Z. York put out many years ago, which will give you a good explanation of the blood types, and then hopefully that will help you. I'm going to go from page 9. This is called Muslims' Creeds False, True or False. And from page 9 it says, I'm going to start halfway down. It says, if you still want to claim that Adam, because remember Adam, the word Adam ties into Adama and into Edom, which is to do with the blood. Because remember, Adam was the first man, right? So we tried, according to the Bible, we tried to go back to the original man to talk about how he came about and the blood, and then how so-called people on the planet came about according to religion. All right, so if you still want to claim that Adam, Zakar, and Eve, Nakeba were the first and only people on the planet Earth, then check this out. Remember that everyone on the planet is going to be made up of elements from the planet. So this is why this is important. All right, check this out. Check to see what type of blood you have. Because if there was originally one man, then there should only be one type of blood. So why don't you check your blood type? In a room of 5 people, at least 2 will have the same type of blood, which means that somewhere along the line, something went wrong. And if you have any blood type other than Adam's, then you are, what, ungodly, because Adam was like God, according to the Quran 15:29, where it says, and I quote in part, when I have fashioned him in due proportion and breathed into him of my spirit. The Ashuric, Syriac, Arabic word used in the quote is ruh, meaning soul, but you mistranslate this word as spirit. According to Webster's unabridged second edition dictionary, the word spirit means the life principle, especially in man, the thinking, motivating, feeling part of man, often distinguished from the body, mind, intelligence, right? And you can also refer to what is soul or spirit, scroll number 110 by Parnabab Yanun, which means that Adam thought and felt as God did. So he was like God, just as the Adam of the Bible was in God's image, if you go to Genesis 1 verse 27. And again, I quote, so God created man in his own image. Also in Quran 15:26, and I quote, we created man from sounding clay, from mud, molded into shape. And in the Quran 9:96 verse 1 to 2, where it says, and I quote in part, of thy Lord and cherisher who created man out of a mere clot of congealed blood. Now we'll get into the blood, right? There's your blood type. Which one was it? Which also, according to you, means that Adam was made of dirt. And if you haven't noticed, when blood dries, it turns into brown dust. Thus, if you had a ton of dried blood, it would look like a pile of brown dirt. And in Ashuric, Syriac, Arabic, the name Adam, yeah? So if you put a dash dam, is a, which is alif, which is life, and dam, yeah, which means blood. So when God created man, he created him with a specific blood type, and he gave it to Adam. Now, back to the point. If you say that Eve was taken from Adam's rib, right? Remember, the blood is in the marrow of the bone. Then they both would have the exact same blood type, right? So Adam and Eve will have the same blood type. Red blood cells are produced in the bone marrow, which is a tissue inside your bones, where blood cells are produced. Thus, if God used Adam's rib to make Eve, they would both have the exact same blood type, right? Okay then, so where did all of these different types of blood come from? If you are all from Adam and Eve, scientists have classified human blood into groups of O, A, B, and AB, which were discovered in 1901 AD by an immunologist named Carl Landensteiner. These blood types are based on the presence or absence of certain antigens, which is a substance that can change the form of antibodies when injected into the bloodstream on the membrane of the red blood cells. If certain antibodies are mixed with blood, they bind themselves to these antigens and cause the red blood cells to clump together. Such clumping can block small blood vessels and result in a serious illness or even death. If you look at the chart below, you will see that it will be impossible for all these types of blood, O, A, B, and AB, to exist. So where did all of these different blood types come from? If all humans came from Adam and Eve. So obviously there's a diagram that shows you like the different blood types, O, A, B, AB, and anti-A and anti-B. Yeah, you'd have to seek the book to look at the diagram, or maybe we'll post it. Okay, so it's giving you a diagram of the agglutination and the anti-A and B factors in blood types O, A, B, and B. Then there's the blood type called Rh negative. This is tying back to the question now, right? Rh negative, which is deadly. Now, where did the Rh negative blood type come from? In 1940 AD, two men, Carl Landensteiner and the immunologist, and Alexander Estweiner, a scientist, discovered while working with the blood of the rhesus monkey, right? That's what you say, Rh, that's that part of the rhesus monkey, right? That the red blood cells in humans were similar to that of the rhesus monkey. They also discovered another antigen or blood type, which they call the Rh factor, which is how the blood type received its name. This kind of information should be the first thing they teach you about in school. Of course, they'll teach you about A, B, AB, and O blood types, but they don't teach you about the Rh negative blood type, or that you should check the blood type and medical history of the person you are marrying. They don't tell you that Rh negative blood is anti-human and carnivorous because it eats up the other blood cells in your body. They don't tell you that to make sure that your husband or wife does not have Rh negative blood, because the mixing of the two can result in abnormalities and even death in your children. When a Rh negative woman carries Rh positive child, it is possible that blood from that fetus or even during birth. Let me read that again. So when a Rh negative woman carries a Rh positive child, it is possible that blood from the fetus or even during birth, blood can seep into the mother's bloodstream. She then begins to produce anti-Rh positive antigens that will affect any future Rh positive child. The child will die shortly before birth or a few days after, unless it is given a transfusion to change all of its blood. Or after the birth, the mother can be injected with an anti-Rh antibody to remove any Rh factor, so that they may not affect any future fetuses. Who did all of this? It would be your God. He made this mistake. So now, he says, I am back to my original question. Where did this blood type come from? If you are all from Adam and Eve, and why is it that this same Rh factor is found in monkeys? Because as I have just shown you, it wouldn't be possible for any Rh positive people to exist if Eve had Rh negative blood type. Another example, yeah. So as you know, the master goes on, but as you notice, I'm not going to read all of it because you should really have this in your library. See, the master teacher doesn't teach you just religion, even though this was called Muslims' creeds, true or false, which addresses things that religion will talk about, but doesn't go into the scientific aspects of it. And when he said, if you trace it, it goes back to animals. And as we've said, that when you're dealing with the Adamites, they are mixed with the Homo simians, Homo porcine, and what's the other one? The porcine, canine, and simian. Yeah. So this is how it was introduced. And remember, the Pleiadians who grafted the Adamites is where this bloodline is coming from. Why we say that the RH comes from these beings. But of course, today on the planet, there have been so many mixtures to the point where you have people today, by mixing, have also inherited or taken on different blood types. And the O is one of the most common because it's the one that most people can accept, you know, when they need a transfusion. It's the most popular one. But yeah, to answer your question again, the original beings on the planet were all positive blood types. And then the negative came in with the mixture of beings that are referred to as extraterrestrials because they came here from outside of the planet. And then the graftations involved the mixture of animals, the Homo porcine, Homo simian, and the Homo canine in the Adamites. All right. And yeah, grab that scroll. We have it available and it will give you more information. All right, let's go on to your second question.
My next question is why is all the truth coming out after 2020? Because it seems like there was what the Bible calls a great falling away. And it seems like there was a falling away, but everything seems to have restarted again. So maybe you can explain that. And
okay, so the second question is, why is after 2020, as he puts it, more and more people are waking up? You know, yeah, because these predictions are in these so-called books of, as they label them, prophecy, meaning that if you look at the last book in the Old Testament, what people call the Old Testament, it's the book of Malachi. And if you read the book of Malachi, chapter 4, in verse 2, it talks about this time we're living in, when it explains that the Son of Righteousness will come with healing in his wings. And that coincides with what people also refer to as the age of Aquarius, or the golden cycle and the sun cycle, which began officially from 1999, where all the nines lined up, and the end of the devil's rule, as in the year 2000, because the devil was running rampant when all the sixes lined up, which was June 6, 1966. You can look at the movies like Damien, dealing with Rosemary's Babies, and all of that, the decay to house, and it ties into so many things when, the movie, the Omen movies, they actually speak about this, where the Pope came to New York and they were expecting this child and so on and so forth. But I don't want to digress to that. But the sun cycle officially came in the year 2000. From the year 2000 of the sun cycle, everything is being renewed. And so Wu-Sabat, the master teacher, opened the seventh seal in 1970, which was the beginning of this new cycle in terms of the now, or the information that's being poured into the world so that people can learn the truth. And that seventh seal was, again, another prophecy which you'll find in the book of Revelations. And you'll find, with Daniel, when he was reading this book of the future, and he was told to close it until the right time when an angel will come and open it. When you look at the word Malachi, that translates as my angel. And it's Malachi, when you then come into the books of Revelation, which is the end. Mind you, already said that the Old Testament ends with Malachi, the books of Malachi. The Revelation begins with the book of, with Malachi, being that angel that, if you read it, it said that this is the book of Jesus, which was sent and signified, and it was sent by way of his angel. And that's my angel, which means Malachi. And so you read that, and it tells you that, this is the time where you're living in the, what they will call, in the book of Revelation is supposed to be the book of prophecies and dealing with the end times. And the end times is when the end of the moon cycle, coming into the sun cycle, starting in the year 2000. So from 2000, well, from 1970, but officially 2000, all the truth is being put out by Partner Babylon, Dr. Malachi Z.K. York. And so nothing's been left unturned. It has taken a long time, because some of the things he was speaking about in the 60s, in the 70s, in the 80s, had to come to pass, and there had to be, to bear witness and to see that everything he has said has come to pass. So obviously in 2020, the COVID pandemic hit, and that was part of an awakening for many people. In fact, even before 2020, you dealt with 2012, where, the Mayan calendar, and people were talking about the dimensional shift. So you had 2003 with the alignment of the planets, 2012 with the dimensional shift, 2020 where the genetic markers of certain people were hit, because again, the DNA with the genetic markers, a lot of people that were unalive during that period, it was due to the genetic markers. And so in 2020 with the pandemic, a lot of people had the opportunity to stop, slow down. And when you look at COVID, you're looking at the word Kobad, which is dealing with, again, this extraterrestrial craft, or when you're dealing with something called panspermia, where things are brought in from outside, where this bacteria and these, what basically people were catching, called the COVID virus, was, part of the issue. But again, you'll have to study and research to get the full information. We have many scrolls that go into this. So there has been a great falling away, because it's a time where the old information, the misinformation, the lies, and in the Bible, they literally say, when the truth comes, the truth will perish. So a lot of people had to be faced with a choice of waking up, coming to their consciousness, and realizing that you can either live in truth in the new age, as they call it, the age of Aquarius, the sun cycle, the raising consciousness, the awoke tribe, or you stay dead, or you fall away, you see. So this is what's happening. Wu-Sabat is here. and we're reaching the world, and people are waking up, and now the truth is being made very clear and known to anyone who chooses to want to know the truth. And that's the most valuable currency today. So I hope that's helped you with your question. Let's move on.
Also, I got another question, and this is my last question. And the question is, when you look at certain people and you see like their eyes, like you'll see like a glitch in their eye, either or. You'll see that sometimes the eye won't be there for a split second, or the eye will be over here and then it's right back a second later. Is that having to do with having enough? Is it kind of like becoming more conscious than the hologram? Let me know what you think. Like I said, I appreciate this channel, Aquastone Throne. That's my music. Go check me out. I love y'all.
Tawat. Yes, so the last question is regarding the eyes, and obviously he explains how the eye can change and take form. Right, so when you look at the saying that your eyes are the windows to your soul, that will tell you a lot. Your eyes are also solar panels, and when we say the eyes are the windows to the soul, you will see that the different color eyes and even like the pupils will tell you a lot. So if you look at different animals and look at, in fact, we have a scroll, an actual fact, 18 plus 1, 18 plus 1 equals 37 genes of the mitochondrial DNA. I think that's the title if I haven't messed it up. That goes into this. And another scroll, very important scroll, is Kabad. Can't remember the title. Kabir Kadam, which is Bigfoot, that goes into this, where you can see the genetic traits of people's eyes and how they tie in and relate to their makeup in terms of like whatever their DNA is mixed with. So if you see, like there are lots of people that I've seen videos on YouTube where they show you their eyes dilating, or like they have that slit. Like if, for example, if you look at the eyes of reptiles or cats or, you know, dogs, look at the eyes and then look at humans that have the same similar eyes. So what's happening is that there are beings that shapeshift. Some of these draconian, these reptilian beings that are able to shapeshift. And the way you can tell is looking at people's eyes, because there are videos and footage catching people morphing or shape-shifting, and their eyes change for that split second, and then they change back. And because of the vibration in terms of when you look at the color blue, it's because of that. It's the fastest vibration in terms of when you look at it with light, and then you look at Caucasians that have blue eyes. Because I'm saying the eyes give you a lot of information regarding the makeup of a person. You know, they can say that you look, if you have like brown eyes, brown hair, then you have the genetics tied into somewhere along the line you would have had some Negroid blood in your makeup. So yeah, this is relating to some of these beings are able to shapeshift, and you can see that in their eyes, or when you can look at a person's eye and they've just got those little small tiny like dots, and you look at that, it will relate to like the mixture with, as I said previously, with canines, or, you know, porcines, or with simians. And if you have no soul, then looking in your eyes, I've heard people refer to certain people like they're cold and they have no soul, because you look at their eyes and it's like there's nothing there. So yeah, the eyes are the windows to your soul. They're solar panels because they store light, they store images. They record everything that you see. And this is why you can't really, when it comes to Wu-Sabat, in terms of your matrix, you literally record everything. You record everything you see, you record everything you touch, and it's all recorded on your matrix, which is really light information or light, where we say you're recording onto a me disc. A me disc is like a crystal, kind of like a CD, you know, those small CDs, but imagine that as a crystal where all light information is stored and then it can be retrieved. Because even when you look at a CD, that's really laser, that is able to read the information that is encoded on the disc. Yeah, so yeah, I hope that also helped. But yeah, send more questions in. If you need any more like clarity or attend one of our mini classes, tune into the lives on Tuesdays, 7 p.m. GMT, or send us 3 questions, upload them to osmvision.wetransfer.com, and we'll do our best to answer your questions for you. We'd like to thank everyone who has sent questions in, and yeah, keep them coming, because without your questions, we won't be able to do this segment of answering 3 questions. So until next time, my name is Ken. Wadu.